Welcome, everyone, to this exciting episode where we dive into the vibrant world of African musical traditions. We have a special guest with us today who spent years studying and experiencing these unique musical forms. Welcome, Dr. Melissa Andrews, an ethnomusicologist with a focus on African drum traditions. Thank you for joining us, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and share what I've learned about the incredible world of African music.
Melissa, your work mentions a fascinating concept of drumming, not just as a musical endeavor, but as an intricate form of communication. Could you elaborate on how African drumming serves a linguistic function?
Certainly, African drumming is a language in itself. Drummers are known to speak their rhythms, where each beat or pattern can translate into verbal syllables, sharing ideas and stories within their communities. This isn't just about music. It's about the synthesis of music and language as a singular cultural expression.
That's truly captivating. I imagine there must be a deep spiritual aspect connected with this form of musical expression.
Absolutely. In many African cultures, music isn't compartmentalized into secular versus sacred as it often is in the West. Instead, it's seen as an integral part of spiritual practice, reflecting a connection not only to the divine, but also among community members and across generations.
And how does this spiritual integration manifest in everyday life through music?
Music is used for healing, emotional transformation, and maintaining social balance. It's incredibly therapeutic and participatory, meaning everyone, from children to elders, takes part in making music. This shared musical experience serves as a vehicle for transmitting cultural knowledge and values.
There's so much richness there. Shifting slightly, can we talk about the role of repetition in African music? It's often misunderstood by Western listeners.
Definitely, repetition in African musical forms is often misconceived as primitive by Western scholars. However, it plays a crucial role. It serves as a structural anchor, providing clarity and framework for complex improvisation. This creates a dynamic tension between stability and creativity, enabling musicians to innovate within recognized patterns.
That's a profound insight. Could you discuss the significance of coolness as an aesthetic and ethical principle within African performance?
The concept of coolness in African music, especially drumming and dance, is about controlled expressiveness. It's the ability to communicate depth and emotion within restrained and deliberate action. This principle underscores performing with a balance of passion and composure, reflecting broader cultural values of mediation and harmony.
It's fascinating how these musical principles align with deeper cultural values. How is rhythm integrated into dance within these traditions?
Rhythm and dance in African cultures are inseparable. Dance doesn't simply follow music, it actively interacts with it. Steps and movements are directly tied to rhythmic patterns, creating a system where drummers and dancers engage in an ongoing dialogue, adjusting rhythms and movements in real time based on each other's cues.
It's truly an evolved and interactive art form. As we wrap up, could you share a final thought on the cross-cultural impact of African musical styles?
African music has profoundly influenced global music, especially through the African diaspora. Its principles of rhythm, repetition, and improvisation have shaped genres like jazz, blues, and modern pop. It's a testament to its enduring relevance and ability to connect diverse cultures through shared musical language.
Thank you, Melissa, for such an enlightening conversation. The depth and influence of African music are truly remarkable. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today, and until next time, keep exploring and listening. Dr. Andrews, we talked about the influence of African rhythms around the world, but I want to dive deeper into the nuances of how these rhythms have integrated into different musical styles. Can you elaborate on the specific characteristics that make African rhythms so adaptable?
Absolutely. One of the most fascinating aspects of African rhythms is their polyrhythmic nature. This means that you often have multiple rhythms being played simultaneously, creating a rich and complex tapestry of sound. This characteristic allows African rhythms to complement a wide variety of musical styles, from jazz to rock to contemporary electronic music.
That's interesting. Does this polyrhythmic structure influence how musicians interact with one another during a performance?
Indeed, it does. In many African musical traditions, there's a strong sense of communal participation. Musicians and dancers need to be keenly aware of one another, constantly listening and responding. This interactive dynamic can be quite exciting and is a foundation in genres like Afrobeat and even some hip-hop variants.
It sounds like a conversation happening within the music itself. Speaking of conversations, I remember we touched on how drumming serves a linguistic function in some cultures. Could you share more about this communication aspect?
Of course, in many West African cultures, drums are not just musical instruments. They're also tools of communication. Take, for example, the talking drums of the Yoruba people in Nigeria. These drums can mimic the tones and rhythms of the Yoruba language, allowing drummers to send messages across distances. It's a sophisticated form of language that has been used historically for both social and ceremonial purposes.
That's extraordinary. It's fascinating how deeply integrated these traditions are in everyday life. This also ties into the spiritual aspect of music you mentioned earlier. Can we explore how music serves as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds in these cultures?
Certainly, in many African traditions, music is seen as a conduit for spiritual expression and connection. It's not just an art form, but a vital part of religious and cultural ceremonies. Whether through transducing rhythms or the call and response singing styles, music creates a shared space for community members to experience spiritual unity. Rituals often feature music to summon spirits or seek guidance, bridging the seen and unseen.
This integration of music into daily life is quite powerful. How does this spiritual significance influence the improvisational aspects of African music?
Improvisation is central to African music, echoing its spirit of spontaneity and interaction. Performers are encouraged to be in the moment, responding to the audience, the environment, and their fellow musicians. This fluidity allows the spiritual energy of the moment to guide the music, making each performance unique and deeply connected to its context.
And considering this flexibility, how does repetition play into it? Initially, one might think repetition contradicts improvisation.
That's a great point. Repetition in African music isn't about redundancy. Rather, it's a foundational element that provides stability. It allows improvisation to build upon a familiar structure, helping musicians and audiences find common ground. Repetition also induces a trance-like state, enhancing the spiritual quality of the music.
So repetition acts like a canvas for creative expression. It's all about finding harmony and contrasts. Moving on to performance, you mentioned coolness. Could you expand on why maintaining a cool demeanor is culturally significant?
Certainly, the concept of coolness in African music performance refers to a controlled and composed presence, especially amidst complex rhythms and energetic dances. It reflects a mastery over oneself and the music, suggesting both confidence and respect for the art form. This demeanor is admired and often represents a balance between intense artistic expression and calm mastery.
That makes sense. It's about mastery over chaos, a theme that seems to run through much of what we've discussed. Before we wrap up, could you share any insights on future directions or collaborations you see for African music on the global stage?
The future is indeed promising. We're witnessing increasing collaborations between African artists and those from other regions, leading to exciting fusions that respect and celebrate the roots of African music. There's a growing appreciation for cultural exchange, and emerging platforms have amplified the reach of African music, allowing it to shine on a global stage.